Hey everyone, Jarb here. With Christmas just around the corner at this point, I wanted to talk about something I've actually been thinking about for a while. See, I feel like we haven't had a true classic Christmas movie in a long time. And by that, I mean one that is not only synonymous with the holiday season, but becomes one of those yearly watches or all-time classics. I understand there isn't a definitive list, and I'm in no way implying there hasn't been a good Christmas movie in a long time. But I think most of you get when I say that we're missing a true Christmas classic. Christmas Story, Nightmare Before Christmas, Rudolph, Christmas Vacation, The Grinch, Elf, and so on and so on. The most recent movie I can think of that became one of those Christmas classics is Elf, and we're a whole 2 decades removed from that movie's release. Well, last year, the newest addition to that list came out, The Holdovers. I was really excited for The Holdovers before it came out, and I can confidently tell you that it lived up to my expectations. Maybe it's just refreshing to see a Christmas movie that I know I'll watch each year and haven't already seen a million times before, or maybe there's something that The Holdovers just nails that no Christmas movie has in a long time. So, let's talk about my favorite movie from last year, and maybe my favorite Christmas movie ever. First, I rag on the Oscars a lot for how often they miss with the right choice, or ignore what feels like an obvious candidate, but man, did they absolutely nail it with the Divine Joy Randolph pick. She brings so much to this character, and is the heart and soul that this movie definitely needed. She subtly portrays so much pain, and through just her looks and limited words, the pain bleeds through in such a real and authentic way. Paul Giamatti and Dominic Sessa are giving 2 of the better and more authentic performances I've seen in a very long time. These characters feel so lived in and real. Their pain, their quirks, their words all feel so real. It's not just in these larger outbursts or their witty dialogue, but in these quieter moments too, like when Angus steals the keys to the school. There's a subtle sadness to him, Randolph, and Giamatti's performance that makes these outbursts feel even more real and authentic, a word I'm focusing on a lot here and you're going to hear a lot more throughout this video. It's not rare to see an actor embody pain that well, but the way Sessa, Giamatti, and Randolph play off each other is incredible. Their performances sell so much here. Not to imply the script is lacking at all, but the idea of actors elevating their source material has been rarely more tangible than what's happening in this movie. I think Cillian was absolutely killer in Oppenheimer, and I'm in no way implying that he was not very deserving of that Best Actor win. But man, my pick would have been Giamatti. So many scenes perfectly show a man masking years and years of pain with cynicism, and when the cracks finally show themselves, it can be equally heartbreaking and equally warm. It can be so easy for Mr. Hunnam to just be an asshole, or unrelatable to the audience. That's seemingly how he presents himself to those at Barton around him. And I think it can be hard for an actor to fix the audience's opinion of a man who is constantly shown to be a nuisance to be around. But it's once again in those moments, whether it be at the party, reflecting on his monograph, or that killer scene in the restaurant, that Giamatti just lets the walls down enough for us to see the full hurt and pain residing inside. More than anything, The Holdovers does well. It nails the feeling of the Christmas season more than any other Christmas movie I've seen in a long time, or maybe ever. See, Christmas is the most magical time in the world. It may sound dumb or stupid, but there's something truly different about Christmas. Maybe it's the lights, the music, the warm food, and the cozy nights. But Christmas for many is one of the best times of the year. It can feel almost crazy to not feel overjoyed with the Christmas or holiday spirit. But it's also during the coldest, the darkest, and the most melancholic time of the year. And for many, the most depressing. Winter is the time when most people begin to feel seasonal depression, and as someone with year-round depression, it can be easy for those feelings to worsen during this time. That's my favorite part of The Holdovers. It's a feel-good Christmas movie, but it also embraces the melancholy of the season. For a variety of different reasons, our 3 main characters find themselves in this school, seemingly alone. All of their reasons, whether it be loss, purposelessness, or a lack of connection, are something I think everyone can relate to in some capacity. And I can say for one, I can relate to the responses to this pain, whether it be the snide and cruel veil that Angus and Paul set up as self-defense, or the isolating behavior that Mary feeds into. I can say firsthand I've done both of those and know how it could feel, especially Angus and Paul recently. Kevin Fallon put it really well for the Daily Beast. They are cantankerous for different reasons, but it turns out that's armor, not a weapon. It's so easy to be cruel to a world that you feel has been nothing but that to you, and struggle to find purpose in making connections when you feel like no one understands you. The Holdovers is a movie about loneliness, about isolation, about pain, but it's also a movie about family, found and real, and the importance of connection. One of the most emotional moments I've seen on film is the dinner conversation between Angus and Paul, where Angus finally opens up fully to Paul. The script and Sessa's performance here both come to a peak. Paul's truly poignant monologue, along with the subtle smile and teary eyes from Sessa, make this one of the most emotional and relatable moments I've ever seen on film. That moment your walls break down, and when you feel that real connection, it is incredibly validating to feel so seen, and more so, loved and cared for. It's a really important moment, at least to me, for mental health in movies. To allow a character to be so vulnerable and voice something that I can once again attest to being so hard to open up about. That and the handshake towards the end are more immensely warm and caring than any hug or kiss I've ever seen on screen before. It just feels so real and thoughtful. Holdovers is about how we mourn. It's about how we struggle. It's about how we grieve, how we respond to pain, how we process, and more than anything, it's about how we feel. And how, even in a time where you may feel crazy for not being the most overjoyed human being on earth, it's okay to feel sad, and you're far from alone. That last part is one of the more important parts. You're far from alone. It's good to hear that sometimes, and it's good to know you're wrong about yourself sometimes, even if it's from the person you least expect to tell you. I have a hard time really quantifying in words the feeling that this movie gives me. It's only comparable to the warmest hug I've ever received, the ultimate shoulder to cry on, and the best unexpected friend you could ever have. Our characters are magically healed from their pain, and their sadness doesn't just disappear when they finally get to process their emotions. To put it bluntly, shit still probably sucks. But our characters are more equipped than before, and more so, less alone than before. That handshake I referred to earlier comes at the very end of the movie. After Giamatti gives his last incredible monologue, making it more than evident that he understands Angus better than seemingly anyone ever has, and that the kid finally has someone in his corner for the first time and seemingly forever, is forced to leave the school. There isn't a super prolonged goodbye or speech about what Angus and Paul should walk away from this experience with, but rather an understanding, something both characters were yearning to feel from someone this whole time. Their interaction, presumably their final one at least for some time, is bittersweet. Saying goodbye is never easy, but having someone that makes goodbye hard is a gift in of itself. All it takes is 3 lines, those final 3 lines between the two, and a stupid handshake to just absolutely crush me, and to show me one of the realest and most heartfelt moments I've seen on screen in a long time. I'm not joking that the 3 times I've seen this movie, that one scene makes me cry every time. It's like the perfect cherry on top. I struggled for a while to write this video, to find the volume of words to convey how much this movie means to me, the technical jargon and whatnot that would make it clear that this is a good movie and it's worthy of a video. But at the end of the day, none of that really matters. Yes, the movie looks great, the music is great, the performances, the editing, everything is amazing, but it's never what I remember or think of when this movie crosses my mind. I think of Angus, I think of Hunnam, I think of Mary, I think about all those sad Christmases I've had and will continue to have, those moments of isolation. And I think of how it'll all be okay, and how a stupid fucking handshake, more than any other movie I've seen in a long time, makes me feel something. Something so real and deep I can't even put it into words. The Holdovers is a truly special movie. It's an important Christmas movie. Like I said, not many in this genre tend to explore the sadness and pain in the season, at least from what I've seen. And I think that alone makes The Holdovers a movie everyone should watch. If you made it this far, please let me know down below what you think of The Holdovers and what it means to you. I'd love to know how this movie has impacted others. But I think that's going to do it for this one. So go watch The Holdovers this Christmas season. Have a great holidays, and I'll see you in the next one.